closed with the daycares in Minnesota. I'm a licensed private investigator in California. I started looking into state records and I found ghost daycares. These are places where the state inspectors showed up. There would be 28 kids enrolled and there were no kids there in the middle of the day and in the middle of the week.
All right, so a ghost daycare. Is that something Gavin Newsom could say, all right, we'll try to shut that down? Does he cooperate when you start raising this?
No. In fact, today, it got word from the governor's office. There's been a directive to actually shut down public access. So right now, you can't even search the own state website to look into these ghost daycares, but I have found a workaround.
Okay, well, we don't want to tell the governor that you found a workaround. But it does sound like he's trying to cover his tracks, like this is a cover-up.
We're talking about billions of dollars in California. Today in New York, Kathy Hochul, she said she wants to increase child care subsidies to $4.5 billion. We're talking about the same amount in California, if not even more.
Well, with all due respect, as one of the reporters who did some door knocking, never demanding to see a child. If anybody demanded to see a kid, that would be highly unusual, I don't think.
I'm glad you agree with that.
Right, and that never happened, that I'm aware of, even all the stuff posted online. But when you do knock on a door that's a taxpayer-subsidized child care center that's received hundreds of thousands of dollars over a couple of months' time, there's no evidence of a child care center. As a reporter, I have every right to knock on that door and say, you're getting a heck of a lot of money, or are you actually watching kids? And you've got all
my two kids went to an in-home child care center. The woman who ran it is still to this day called Grandma Cindy by my kids in their 20s. There's not a lock. There's not a gate going up to that front door. All of the regulations in the back for keeping the kids safe is in place. But if you were knocking on that door and I found out about it, I would lose my mind. That is a home. That is a home where a business operates to care for toddlers.
If it's a taxpayer-subsidized daycare, we have every right to knock on the door and say, are you a legit operation?
The Department of Children, Youth, and Families audits all of them every year. Did you report that to the Department of Children, Youth, and Families?
Right.
Or did you write a story about it?
They have performed audits and the findings have not been acted upon. That I have reported on.
So when you went and knocked on a in-home family child care center, did you report that there was nobody there to the Department of Children, Youth, and Families?
That there was no one from DCYF?
No, that there was. You said that there was no daycare going on there.
Right, there was no daycare.
And did you report that to the Department of Children, Youth, and Families so they could follow up?
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I look forward to hearing that because they audit every child care center every year, and they haven't found that instances of the kind of fraud that has been alleged.
I think, Carlene, what my point is you may have the right to do that. It's not right to do that. We have systems in Washington State that people should report fraud to. At the same time that all of this is going on, we have people being scooped up off of the street. We have a former speaker in Minnesota who opened the door to what she thought was a law enforcement agent, which was somebody dressed up, and it wasn't. And I get that you think it's different, and now she's dead. She's been assassinated. So it is right for people to be concerned about those they don't know coming to their home, knocking on their door, asking to see things. It's right for that concern to happen, and it's also right for any time someone has a concern about fraud or abuse happening in a child care center to report it to DCYF, to report it to a legislator, to report it to the state auditor. There are a lot of options for reporting and auditing in this state, and that's the way that things should be operating.
Not only when we make pre-K truly universal, but expand this care to include all 2- and 3-year-olds across the city. As the governor said, we will deliver to care by working in partnership with child care providers, especially home-based providers.
This will be felt by expanded subsidies for tens of thousands of additional families. So Governor Kathy Hochul and Mayor Zohran Mamdani announcing that they have partnered to fully fund at least 2 years worth of 2K in New York City. Now, the state said they'll pay for it. It's going to be about $500 million, totaling about 12,000 seats by year 2. This is a big deal because Mamdani ran on his plan to deliver universal childcare, and Governor Kathy Hochul has made it a signature platform of her own tenure in office. But the real question will be, how does the state and the city potentially pay for this once you expand from 2K up until Mamdani's pledge, which was up to 5 years old and then down to kids as young as 6 weeks old? That's a big question. Governor Kathy Hochul did not talk about possible revenue raisers.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
But I wanted to show that last clip of what's going on in New York because it's already been uncovered in Minnesota. There's massive childcare fraud. I wanted to show the clip out in Washington because there is a reporter out there that's uncovered. She's uncovered childcare fraud. The reporter in California uncovered childcare fraud, so much so that they actually blocked access to people this information is supposed to be public information, but they have now blocked access to keep people that are doing the work of investigating the fraud, to keep them from blowing the lid off of this. That's all I wanted to let folks know. This is bigger than Minnesota. And now in New York City, they actually just passed a law that basically opens up for massive childcare fraud in New York City. That's why they were yelling and screaming so loud for the quote unquote in-home care.
Yep.
In-home care. Because just like the one lady said that if you went to the place where my child was going, quote unquote, for childcare, I would be going off. They don't. Hey, this is another money laundering scheme.
Mm-hmm.
That's all this is. This is a way to steal money from the federal government.
So I'm sure this is the case. I said a few weeks back that Democrats govern nationally. So wherever you find the Democrat fraud model, believe it is being replicated somewhere else, and probably every place else where Democrats feel that they have the majority of people in elected positions and the majority of voters to help them avoid any kind of accountability. So whenever those situations are in place, you can imagine that the same kinds of fraud is happening there. That's happening in Minnesota. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I would have loved for the woman who was speaking before those agents of the government to, when the gentleman was saying they audit every child daycare center every year, I would love for her to have said, can you please provide me with last year's audit findings? I would like to publish it. This is what I'm talking about when I say exposure. Let him sit there and say, can you promise me right now that, 48, 72, 96, do you need a week? Exactly how long will it take for you to provide me with a copy of the audit findings? Here is the address. Where are the findings? Did they too notice that nobody was there? And then we can find out if there was any follow-up. Because at the point is, it is enough to say, well, yes, I went to these people and I, spoke to power and all. No, don't know. The name of the game is exposure. Make him sit there on camera and have to deal with whether or not he will provide the audit finding. He says it happens. He spoke confidently about it. And that was his way of saying, we can discredit anything you're saying because we have annual audits. Great. Then you have a finding for address, blah, 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 on such and such a street. I want to publish it. Please, when can I get it? When can I expect to receive it? That is the way you actually speak truth to power. And that is the way to expose. It does not have to be great. Small things like that. Nick Shirley was a small thing initially. It became bigger. It's the same thing with this. If she had said that, then maybe the constituents would say, well, we do want to see the audit report. And maybe they could stop flooding his office saying, well, not only that, we have 6 other addresses that we need the report for. So anytime these people say something, Minister Danzel says that you have to check them where they speak.
right.
As
That's
soon
right.
as he said that, she should have came right back at him and said, great, let me see it.
Yes, I appreciate that, Sister Celeste. You're right on target, and I think that that's the only way we're going to really do some damage to these people, is you have to expose. Now, I often mention that you remember what they put Trump through to make sure that he didn't run and that he didn't win. Do you remember all the effort they put in it? Because they knew how much garbage they had stored up. They knew how much fraud they had stored up. And they knew that getting a Republican in office, or somebody that was not a Democrat, they would have the power to investigate all of this. Now, we said also on this show many times that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of this going on in all of these cities, and especially all these Democratic cities. As you said, Sister Celeste, that they are statewide. They don't do this in one location. So yes, this is the garbage that's being unfolded, and all the money that's being stolen from the American people. And I think that the only way we're going to stop this, as you say, is we've got to expose this stuff. We've got to expose it, and people have to go to jail. But they can't go to jail until it's exposed. You can't silence them until it's exposed. They wouldn't be cocky running in front of the media, running their mouth if they were exposed. They would be too ashamed to come in front of the media, and that's what we have to work on.
From what I got from that montage you put there, number one, I am so confused. Because I raised 2 children, and they went to daycare before they went to pre-K. They went to pre-K, then they went to kindergarten, and then through school. Every daycare that I went into, because I went to home one, and I've been to a public one, there was an opening that you could walk in. There's a reception there. They meet with you. They give you information. You can hear the kids in the background. It's not some kind of hidden secret. So every time they keep saying that it's not safe and people can't do this, how in the world are people supposed to be able to bring their kids to your daycare if they're not allowed to come to your daycare? Like I just don't understand that, because growing up in New York, it was available for you to do that. I lived in Florida, you're able to do that. Here in Georgia, you're able to, I don't understand these rules that they're talking about. So these kids are invisible. You can't see the kids. You don't hear the kids. There's no playground equipment for these kids. There's nothing for these kids. There's no way you can look at this place and say that this is a daycare. But we're supposed to assume there's a daycare. You can't go in there and verify it's a daycare. You can't bring it. Like, I don't understand this thing that they're talking about. And so when they're telling the reporters that no one is supposed to be able to go by, I went by daycares to choose where I wanted to put my children. I went and I was able to observe. I wasn't interacting with the kids. The kids were about their business with their teachers, but I was able to see what the place looked like. So I'm very baffled by this new thing. And that's because they want to hide their fraud, because you're not supposed to see the kids. You're not supposed to see anything. You're just supposed to assume that this is a daycare. This is how they're able to get this stuff through, because no one is checking. And the thing is, when they make the statement that they had people do the audit, how do we know the people who are doing the audit ain't on your payroll? Like, come on now. Don't make those
the same thing.
Don't make those statements that we had somebody audit. That's exactly why Tim Walz and them was saying, well, why don't y'all give us who are the whistleblowers? Why? So y'all can shut them up? No, we're not going to tell you who the whistleblowers are, because you want to shut them up. We're not stupid. And that's the problem. They think people are stupid. When they make the statement about Melissa Hortman, she thought it was a person, a law enforcement. Again, do we have to talk about who allegedly may have been involved in her assassination? Like, don't be bringing it up when y'all know who was probably involved with her assassination. Don't do that. We already have an idea who's involved in that. So don't play like that. At the end of the day, they have this same kind of model set up all over. And Mamdani is now in New York trying to get this model set up in New York for everybody. Because again, now you're going to have people that will say that they have a daycare and they're accepting kids, and then we'll get more money stolen from the American people. At the end of the day, I love that Trump said, as of, I think he said February 1st, if I'm not mistaken.
February 1st.
There will be no more money going to these sanctuaries, no more federal money going to these sanctuaries.
Amen.
And I am so thankful for that, because No, you're not taking our taxpayer money that we are all working hard for, that we have to keep paying out so that y'all can do fraudulent things with it allegedly. I'm sick and tired of it. And everybody in my comments that wants to say that Trump is this and this is just a distraction from the Epstein list and so on and so forth and blah, blah, blah. Y'all are the ideal low IQ voters that these people love because y'all will sit there and turn a blind eye to all the fraud. And then when you need stuff or you need help with something or you're wondering where your money went to, this is exactly where it went to. You turn the blind eye to all the fraud and let the things happen to you. I refuse to sit here and let things happen to me and not do something about it. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to use my platform and speak the truth. And we're going to make sure that this stops. And I love when they say there's no evidence. Go watch Nick Shirley's thing. There's all the evidence that you need to see. Go look at Nakia on TikTok and you'll see all the evidence you need to see in Columbus, Ohio. Go watch Benny Johnson's thing on California. There's all the evidence that you need to. All the evidence of all the fraud is right there in your face. Now, if you want to turn a blind eye, again, that's what the Bible calls a biblical fool. And I will gladly say you're a biblical fool if you decide to turn a blind eye to the truth.
How much of the 4.9, almost $5 trillion that we bring in, but that the U.S. government takes in as revenue via taxes, we're spending upwards of $7 trillion annually is what we're spending. How much of the $7 trillion spend, what percentage of that is fraud?
I just want to say I'm thankful for our president. I'm very thankful for him. I mean, he's not perfect, but let me tell you something. There's a reason why they wanted him gone off the face of the earth. As it was mentioned a little while ago, all the fraud, all of the evil indoctrination, all of the socialism that they had planned for this country. Could you imagine if Kamala Harris had won? Can you imagine? I want everybody to just let that sink in. Kamala Harris, president, in the name of Jesus, never.
Tim Walz, vice president.
You know what I'm saying? The fraud. And then they tell you, but go to these authorities, these auditors, and those auditors are fraudulent. I mean, everything is set up in just so almost airtight, but it's not 100% airtight. They have it set up so that the fraud can just continue and just continue. And the money laundering operation is my opinion that the Democrat Party is a money laundering operation.
It is correct.
That is exactly what it is. Every time they come up with feed the future or save the kids or do something nice for the children, body positivity, none of it's good. I mean, it's meant for, it's coming out of the pockets of the taxpayer, going into their pockets. And then in Minnesota, they saw where a lot of that money was going over to Al-Shabaab, terrorist organization. You're talking about people that hate us. So I'm going to need all these woke and woke wokes, these clefty lefties to get some knowledge, because it's not enough for you all to just turn on the television, look at ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, and BSNBC and all of that. You're not getting the correct information. You're sitting there being spoon-fed a bunch of lies, and you're being emotionalized and indoctrinated, and hate is being put in you to hate the president, who is actually a pretty darn good president, if I might add. Okay, you are not going to get any better, especially when you're talking about the last couple that we had with Obama and Biden. Are you serious? They have sold us out, sending money to our enemies, opening up the gates of hell and letting these people who have no intention to assimilate into this country. And the money that is coming from the taxpayer being used to actually destroy us is like we're unwittingly being used to destroy ourselves, because taxpayer is being used to do that. Sorry, I went off on a rant.
Just piggybacking off Linda right quick. And they name those things like feed the children and save the whales and all that, because the devil makes evil fair seeming. So that should be your red flag right there.
Yep.
As soon as they say love them some more, you should be like, I don't know.
I want to just go to this last part. You have the right, but it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Says who? Who is the authority on that? Since it's a really powerful statement, I'm sure she took it, put it on her Instagram, put it on X. It sounds great. But who is the individual who decides then if it's the right thing to do or not? We have a leadership issue in the United States of America. Anyone who wants to run a business and wants to be successful and isn't corrupt, if someone says, hey, I think you have corruption, their response should be, okay, let me show you my numbers. Let me make them publicly available. If you have nothing to hide, if you're not doing something wrong, why would you not want to do that in the first place? Instead, we're pushing back on someone who's trying to find answers. It's happening in Nick Shirley. It's happening all throughout the country. We want the evidence. And I don't think anybody on the left or on the right would say, yeah, I trust the government completely. Government's 100% perfect. And if you would, put your hand up and then put it back down. If you're a child, you probably shouldn't be here. This is the issue that I see in the nation. We don't have character. We don't have morality. We don't have any value system that prioritizes the people that you are supposed to serve over your own personal interest, or more so, how you think the country should run now that you got a little slice of power. It's why I will always continue to say we are a nation founded on Christianity. That is objectively true. It is easy to prove that. Look into the founding documents, look at the state constitutions. That is where our system of laws and justices was gestated from. And we're starting to deviate from that. Imagine a country, if you don't mind for just 1 second, let's do our critical thinking hats. Imagine a country where you can not have to worry about locking your door because you know that individuals around you don't believe in harming somebody or being selfish enough to steal from them. Imagine a country where when you elect leaders, you know they're going to do the best, even if it harms them, the best for the nation. Imagine a country where you don't have to worry about who's getting arrested today, or we have a high crime rate and all these things because you actually leaned on the values the country was built for. And now we're seeing individuals who love to insult and love to tear down, love to focus on these things that divide us. Your skin color, if you're hyper focusing on that, is nothing more than something meant to divide you. Go look up where black and white came from, then we can have a conversation. Amen. We live in a country where we don't want to hear the truth. We don't want to actually find the right answers. And then the second someone's doing it, if we're told not to like them, well, we don't like them. Orange man bad, 34 felonies. I can't believe that you would possibly do something like this. We don't ask the questions anymore. Do your research. Try to prove yourself wrong. I say that to everybody on the panel too. Try to prove yourself wrong, right? Well, let's say, is Trump racist? Let's try to prove that right. And when you can't, you are obligated to look at the truth and ask, do I want to take this truth? Do I want to be a part of the problem? Or do I want to be a part of the solution and accept that I am not the solution? You're not Jesus. You're not God. You're not going to always be right. And if you're someone who thinks you're always right, then you should quietly sit down and let the adults run the show, because children have been running this country for the last few decades.
Amen.
I want to hear from you guys, man. What are your thoughts on all of this? Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. Appreciate you guys, man. And as always, keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp.